Hey guys, this is the guide for Assembly of Iron on normal mode. The kill order for this fight is going to be Steelbreaker, Mulgheim, and then Brundir. You're going to want 2 to 3 tanks for this fight for management of all the bosses. Every time one of them dies, the remaining bosses will return to 100% health, and they're going to gain a supercharge stack, which gives them additional abilities and 25% damage increase for every other boss that is dead. Steelbreaker's abilities include High Voltage, which deals 1500 damage to the raid every 3 seconds. Fusion Punch punches the tank, dealing 18 to 21k damage, and applies a dispellable debuff that deals an additional 15k damage per second. Static Disruption and Overwhelming Power are hard mode only, so I'm not going to go over those. Mulgheim has Shield of Runes, which absorbs up to 20,000 damage, but if it absorbs a 20k damage, it will increase the boss's damage by 50% for 15 seconds. Spell Steal or purge this as soon as possible. Rune of Power increases the damage of all friendly and enemy targets within 5 yards. Rune of Death will only happen once the first boss dies, dealing 2700 damage to anyone standing within the rune every half second. Rune of Summoning and Lightning Blast are hard mode only, so I'm not going to go over those. Brundir does a Chain Lightning ability that can be interrupted. Overload, which is a 6-second cast, dealing 20k damage to anyone within 20 yards of him and knocking them down. The tank can run out of this, or you can AMS it if you're using a DK tank. Lightning Whirl will only happen once there is 1 stack of Supercharge. This is an AoE lightning bolt for 5 seconds, and this can be interrupted. Lightning Tendrils will happen once the second boss is dead, with 2 stacks of Supercharge. The boss will lift into the air, shooting out tendrils of lightning under him, dealing 3k damage per second to everyone around him. You can kite him here, I just stay away from him until he's finished and then you can go back in. Alright, so we are doing the normal mode of this. I'm going to tank Steelbreaker. If you can get both Skull and X devs, it works better that way because you can interrupt Skull. And I'll take the big guy. The big guy does a punch ability that does a shit ton of damage to me. After I get fusion punched, I'm going to need a spam cleanse on me. I can try to do it myself, but I'm also popping cooldowns at the same time simultaneously. And if that's not insta-cleansed, it does almost as much damage as the punch itself. So just make sure we're paying attention to that. Once Skull is dead, I'll taunt X off of you so that we can split them, and then we'll focus X and then Skull. And then Square. Jesus. Fucking stroking out over here.
Where am I tanking them?
So you don't have to tank them super far away. Probably right where they're at is fine, and then I'll probably tank the big guy like over here. There are going to be runes that spawn on the ground that we want to drag the bosses out of because they get a big damage increase with them. I'll try to tank the bosses close to the runes as we're killing them. That way DPS can still stand in them. It can just get slightly sketchy when the green runes start coming out. After the big guy dies and we pick up X, we're probably going to stay out of the blue runes until the first green rune spawns. Once the first green rune spawns, we'll stack in blue. The reason for that is if they spawn under the raid, they deal a shit ton of damage, so we really don't want the entire raid stacked in one spot when those are supposed to come out. After each green rune disappears, we'll try to respread if we can, just to preemptively stop that damage from coming out, because the healers already have so much to deal with, making sure that our tanks are taken care of. If we don't need the D-sacks, once we get into the last phase of this fight, which will be when there's only 1 mob left, we'll probably D-sack his overloads. I'll just look at the timers and see how many we have up at the moment. But when we do that, we'll D-sack Bubble for the Holy Paladin, so we have 2 total. For Overload devs, you'll just kite away from the Skull. So he's going to cast Overload, you'll run away from him, and then you'll pick him right back up.
Okay.
Outside of that, though, nothing really too crazy. I think that's all we really need to go over with here. So you're going to MD and put all the tricks on me here at the start.
Pump everything into me.
Yep.
5, 4, 3,
Baby
2,
bubbles.
1. I'm out of range.
You will not defeat the Assembly of Iron so easily, invaders!
I can't pass that.
First punch. I popped a trinket with this one. Next punch, popping another trinket with this one.
Oh, he's overloading.
Away from overload.
Range move, range move.
Alright.
Yeah, I can tank that easily.
Alright, perfect. Gonna paints up this next punch on me, please. Call out. Fusion punch now, paints up.
Can't stop that chain. Stuck in a...
Can you move big guy back?
Oh, I can grip him.
Yeah.
Okay, we're chilling.
No,
No,
other way, other way.
Oh, sorry.
Towards the rune.
Yeah, we can pull him over towards the ring. DPing this punch now. There we go, melee. You should be able to hit him from there as well. Alright, after this guy dies, we are going to spread until the green root spawns.
He's overloading.
Everybody away from him.
Tawny X. Alright, once the green rune spawns, we'll all stack in blue, but
I
we're
can't
gonna
get
wait
that.
till green rune spawns.
Thank you.
Be ready to move on the green room. Everybody, he's in blue, Katie.
Pull him back.
Around.
Next green should be spawning any second. Don't stack in
Get
that
out of the blue rune.
Everybody out of blue.
That way the green rune doesn't spawn on top of the blue rune.
Beautiful. Everybody stack in blue.
Yep. Beautiful.
That was perfect. That was exactly what we wanted. Can melee hit him there or no?
No, not quite.
Sorry, he's being weird right now with positioning.
I kicked, but it didn't fucking interrupt him on the lightning whirl.
Oh, double room. Oh.
Okay, get away from the blue rune.
Yep, everybody
Once that
spread
green rune disappears, yeah.
It'll spawn like immediately. Perfect. It moved like 2 feet.
That's sick. He's good then.
I gotta be in melee to kick him anyways. I
Alright.
can't kick that.
So be mindful here, the square boss is going to start doing tendrils as well. If we get a bad tendril stacked with an overload, we'll probably lose a few people, even with DSAC. So just be aware.
You want to watch them?
Yeah, go ahead and burn it. Alright, melee can stay in as long as Big Dick Heals can DSAC bubble this next overload. Alright, tendrils out melee. Stay away, he's just focusing random people. Just try to kite him away from the group ideally. Ends in 3. He should be doing an overload any second, so just be aware of that. We are going to DSAC it because he just casted tendrils. Very clean, guys. Very juicy. Much better pool.
Once we knew what the target was.
Yeah.
So he doesn't summon any more of those blue runes. Like it wasn't like an RNG thing.
No.
Only the Rune Master does, the middle guy.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
X
okay,
is the
okay.
one. Each boss has different abilities, and once they die, we lose those abilities, but the other bosses gain an ability in the meantime. Okay, that was the guide for Assembly of Iron on normal mode. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I should be able to get a hard mode out for this here in the next couple days.